create this to the point where I can work with CEOs of giant organizations like Tesla and Microsoft. You wait, Elon Musk. I have been personally powerful enough to overcome the fear of the telephone. So in 2016, I mentored under a woman named Maria Quattrone, top 100 realtors in the tri-state area for many years. And that was me sitting in that fucking bathroom trying to memorize my scripts. Sitting there. Avoiding. Remember, she's like, oh, you got a bowel issue? I didn't have a bowel issue. I actually read through 237 books on real estate, finance, amortization, depreciation, leverage, cash flow, buy and hold, short-term fix and flips, Joe Stump, Mike Ferry, Tom Ferry, Floyd Wickman, everyone you can imagine. How to overcome the fear of the telephone. Read all the books. I can't tell you what it was specifically that worked. I think is that just every day, the same ritual of failure. Got up at 4:45 and ran from South Philly off that blow-up bed she let me borrow. To the gym, worked out, listened to audiobooks, got home. It's like 5:45, shower, change, listen to audiobooks. Got in the car, drove to work, paid for parking because I had to feel rich. And I listened to audiobooks in the car, and then 20 minutes before my arrival, I said my script. Hey, look for Jeff. Hey, Jeff, there's Jay. KW, reason for the call. Well, at the time, Remax. Jay, Remax, reason for the call. Your home popped up on the computer's expired list. I'm just calling to see when you plan to interview the right agent for the job to your home. If you sold his home, where would you go next? How soon you be there? What do you think? Stop there, selling. Have you got to pick the last agent you listen? What are the agents you look doing that you like best? What do you feel they should know? What do you expect the next agent you choose? If you chose an agent to work with, I would like to be applied for the job site your home. Now, you don't talk like that on the telephone, right? But years later, I can still say it without thinking. Don't ask me to say one of the sentences. I got to say it in order. It's in there somewhere. First day of the license, I got a listing signed. Paid me in 60 days. 87% of realtors aren't in the business in 18 months. I had a stack of listings, I gave it away to people. Wasn't meant to try to make money with the damn thing. I just needed to develop. I don't know how I got out of the bathroom, but I can tell you this. Just like I started writing every day, and don't average every day, maybe 18 out of 30 days a month, if you average it. 8 months ago, and now we have a book. I have a book that's published by a publisher. I just had this ritual, and it overcame my suck. That ritual overcame my suck with the phone. Just like with the writing. So I wrote that in the car. When I pooped, I edited it. If I could do that, damn Skippy, 1.9 GPA, my bipolar mom would be proud if I met her. Just like speaking. Tribeca. No, Manhattan. BNI. I was 21. My first public speech. Just like anything. See a person, man or woman, whatever sex you are or decide to be with, at the bar. You're like that, that was confusing. But I got them all. You see them at the bar. Oh, I should really talk to them. No. Probably married. Probably thinks I'm 1 foot running short. No, I can't talk to them. Talk. Don't be afraid to talk to strangers. Everyone has a story to be heard. Whatever it is, the writing, the reading, the speaking, damn it. I was sitting in that bathroom, and it wasn't even 8 months ago. I volunteered to speak at the #2 real estate office in Pennsylvania on the telephone, live in front of the whole room, speakerphone, with one arm, because this one's all mangled. Sorry. And I got appointments, got opportunities on speakerphone, calling houses that weren't listed, weren't for sale owner, weren't expired, random, I even got a date. I didn't show up. I'm sure she was ugly. That's okay, though. They work hard. That's rude. I'm sorry. I'm into this today. All of this, it's helped me tell the truth. Development. It's helped me tell the truth. Every time I don't talk to someone that I want to talk to, it's not a sexual thing. Girl at the gym, it's not about that. Every time I don't talk to them, a guy that looks like a businessman at Wawa, every time I don't talk to him, I regret it. And then it lowers my confidence. Don't do that. I don't have an answer. Like 6-figure, 6-pack abs or something. Like, can I use this? I don't have an answer like, oh, you're going to take this pill, you're going to buy our courses, and all of a sudden you're, no. Symbolically, when you get uncomfortable, it brings you closer to habituating constant and perpetual comfort being uncomfortable. So it's about getting uncomfortable so you might get uncomfortable again. My whole life is about being uncomfortable. I might just start streaking. I don't know. Maybe that would help me grow. But I can tell you this. Reading every day, listening to audiobooks is the same thing. Just shut up. Just do it. Perpetually and constantly writing down my thoughts, whether it's in the car, on the toilet, wherever, at the office, and speaking. Listen, not all of us have a forum to speak. Speaking in front of the video camera, forget about the business. All business is a vision to a solution of a problem. If you don't have any people's problems to solve, you ain't got no business. So without getting yourself out there and putting yourself out there on these mediums, I don't know what my phone is, these mediums like Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn, no one will work with you ever.
That's why I wanted to ask you that.
Please do, yeah. I mean, you can interrupt me at any time. I'm basically just...
No, in the terms of, right, you sit there, you ride a car ride, you figure you have a 30 to 45 minute car ride into the office. So the question is, do you go to audiobooks, one, or do you go to podcasts?
Ooh, I love this question. Number one,
right,
I have to be honest. I was driving by Nutley High School where I used to go, and I felt a little cool today. I rolled the windows down, I played Eminem Fall.
Oh, okay.
Real talk.
Right.
I was hoping somebody saw me. Window down.
Started reminiscing.
I'm dead ass. I listened the whole ride to Friedrich Nietzsche, Beyond Good and Evil, and Thus Spoke Zarathustra. But right there around Nutley, I pulled that. So do I listen to music? Yes, sometimes. That wasn't the question, but I just really wanted to.
Right.
So to answer your question, 30 to 45 minutes, I'll tell you this.
I always that muscle bothers me because I feel like...
What muscle?
The mindset, because when I'm going into work, right, especially on Monday and Tuesday, you feel like someone who's a great motivational speaker, that podcast, like you get in there, that's the boost of energy, right? That's like your 5-hour energy right there. Someone's telling you, go crush it, you're the man, you got this, you empower the world, this is where you at, this is where you want to be, and let's go.
Okay, that's
and
another thing.
Then you have that podcast going in your mind, then you go into the office. And then you turn around, Wednesday, Thursday, depending on what happened, now you have to say, okay, how do you get your literature up to par? Meaning reading, writing, and embracing the English language, right?
Okay.
That's coming from the world of cultural matters, right? Because the more you read, the more you write.
So are you talking motivation?
Right.
Versus tacit?
Right. Because you only have, and you keep in mind, I'm speaking for myself, I can't
Of course,
no,
that's the point of this, yeah.
When the weekend comes, although it's about my life making choices organically, I also think I have a family, so I'm not, that whole universe just cuts off. So the only time I can read, if it's a Saturday night, if I'm not going anywhere to function or building bridges with others, that's when I'm like, okay, maybe I should just pick up a book and start reading. But for the most part, that's not part of my mind, because on the weekends it's all about my family.
So are you saying during
car,
the weekday, in the morning,
right?
you invest usually in podcasts and motivation? However, you're asking what's the juxtaposition between tacit knowledge and motivation, or is there one or is there one? Is that your question?
Right. That is pretty much my question.
Well, so we can look at this from a few different ways, right? Number one, we can look at it. What's the point of a book? It was Epictetus that basically said, I'm not going to verbatim, The book isn't meant to be your master. The book is the playground or the workout for the mind. So the podcast, is a conduit, meaning a catalyzer, a propellant to thought. Well, what's thoughts? That's a good question. Most people couldn't tell you. They don't have many thoughts.
No.
They say the average person has 86,000 thoughts a day. Question is, do they have 86,000 thoughts a day, or do they have 20 thoughts many times over?
Right.
Laundry, sleep with this one, drink this, do this after work. So the first thing that must be said is that all of this is just a conduit of thought. And we can't even define the mind. So it would be almost ridiculous, like literally no neurosurgeon, no one's ever defined the word mind. Brain, yes, but mind, no. So anyone, no one empirically can say, hey, this way is better than that way. However, we can propose a few different ideas or theories amongst each other. So let me give you an example. Let's say that 30 to 45 minutes times 5, 150 to 225. You divide that by 60, it's like 3.2 something and 4 point whatever. So 3 to 4 hours a week, right? 3 to 4, 7, 3.5, 3.5, 7, 14. 14 hours a month times 12 is 164, whatever, a year, or 168 hours a year. 168 hours into 8 hours. The average book is about 8 hours audio. You could listen to, what, 100? 50 books? No. 20 books?
Yeah,
20? Okay. So now, the question is, motivation versus tacit knowledge. Well, there's an interesting conundrum here because, and I've been thinking about this a long time, so don't expect me to have an answer for you or anything like this. But let's just say that life is a bunch of puzzle pieces, right? You're focused, you're siloed into one discipline. Like math. That's your major, that's your math, that's all you do. Well, you got fucking 100% of part of it. You really work that right arm out at the gym, buddy.
Right.
You forget your legs. What about your calf muscle? So there's a philosophical question to play around with. What about the English? What about the science? What about, right? Polymath died with Socrates. After that happened? Oh, the industrial age. So it's well, now you look, if meaning isn't something that really happens to us, you get $1 million tomorrow, statistics show you're dead. You kill yourself. Spend it all, raise your dopamine all the way up doing drugs, and now you're depressed. Celebrity doesn't work for nobody. Because meaning doesn't happen to you. Meaning is created. So my argument would be, the more you think on different disciplines, the more likely you as a human, not a chimp, you're going to create meaning in your life. You're going to create your environment. You're going to create truth. Fear, false evidence appearing real. Well, how can you have any evidence to believe in if you're always metaphorically walking down a stairwell in the dark? Most people know nothing. Not that when you know everything, you know anything. However, when you have a truth you can talk in front of a room about, be confident in, people may listen and you could do something and you'll feel good about it and you'll create meaning. And you won't need the fucking guru. You don't need someone to motivate. I'm not a motivational speaker. I'm a purpose-driven, articulate, thought-provoking human. Just like every person on the planet was designed biologically to be. Probably hasn't put in what you're doing, which is fucking awesome. That many minutes a day. It's a serious investment in being a human. So, unfortunately, there isn't an empirical answer for you to say, hey, this is what you gotta do, this is how much you gotta read. My argument would be, or what you gotta read, let go of the outcome you're looking for, and decide that your long-term effort in your life is going to be, every day I'm going to not be closed-minded. I'm going to be open enough to be curious. I'm going to be curious enough to think. I'm going to be brave enough to take action on what I think. And I'm going to tell the truth as best as I know every day. That would be my answer. I know, or on a mountain. And, it's a journey, man. I can tell you this, 8 years ago, I really hated myself, fundamentally. Whether I was willing to admit it or not. Why? Well, I didn't have any beliefs. It's all external. I never would have imagined that I'd be as valuable to others as I am today, which in turn makes me feel valuable and good as a human. Now, this and the juxtaposition between someone not just interviewing, asking a question like a talking pundit head with the news. They already know what they're going to try to ask to create some, type of outcome based on the brand they have to live. I mean, we all, no matter what.
Created the dialogue.
So I have no bad words to say. Anyone that has invested their life to educate themselves to do good for the world, which what journalism is founded on. I have no bad words to say of that. However, let's just look at the medium. The medium's set up to where there's going to be questions and the interviewee has to answer them. On a podcast, it's free of bureaucracy. A podcast means the person interviewing you could just say, dude, I don't believe that shit. So what you find on podcasts is what one could argue created the Renaissance. Coffee houses. This. You could please disagree with me. Have an opinion. We might learn something together. Like right now, That's what podcasts do. So there's an interesting thing happening right now. The world culturally is shifting to podcasts because they're real. So it's like Carl Jung said, people don't have ideas, ideas have people. Well, why? It's also in our biology. When we don't know what we don't know, we follow. So when a lot of people read a book, they've never been taught how to read a book. So they read the book and try to memorize the scary stuff. This conversation with you is not meant so you can go tell someone exactly what Jay said. It's so that you can have a new thought. The energy emitted from my mouth goes into your invisible ether and gets filtered through your brain based on everything that's ever happened, how you interpret it, how you created the world. And then you say, this guy's crazy, fix your hair. The gel just wouldn't stick. Make sense? I mean, none of it might have, but the point is to think, right? So this is a metaphor. Like, what the hell,
The book makes you think, yes, but I can argue when you're down on certain things, especially when months are not doing well, you need something to push to motivate you, right? You can only, if you read something, it only makes sense when you're high on life. The argument is you should always be high on life, but that's not always a symptom, right?
I would say that the likelihood of someone being always high on life as a predisposition is a mental disorder. Meaning, I agree with you.
Okay, right.
Yeah, it's not a thing.
Right, the day Jay says I'm having a bad day, he's like, no, fuck that. I woke up this morning, I'm having a good day. But then there's times that symptom when you drift away from certain things where those checks are not coming. Then you sit there, you need something, maybe word choice.
Yeah.
You try to have something help you encourage the passing of not having those checks come through, because you're in sales. Not sales. You're in relationships.
I like that you're very articulate with your, very decided with your words. No, it's really exciting to hear.
You're in that situation where you're in that corner, so you're like, oh man, I didn't help, or I didn't feel I added value to someone's life today. Therefore, there's a decrease on my value. Okay, next month, I didn't help that person. Next month, and all of a sudden, it becomes, wow, it's a quarter. You're 3 months in, you're in a quarter. You're like, okay, I've been reading, I followed what I call steps to help me engage with others by empowering others through my education, through whatever that source may be. I feel,
Can I erase something? Because I'm going to draw something.
I just feel, that's why I feel a podcast, like a Jay, hearing Jay in the mornings on 78. You know what? Jay gave me something that I needed to hear today that said, you know what, whatever I'm going through,
What's this wrong thing?
I can, you know.
It's well, so and you're not alone there, by the way. Brad Lee told me to call him in the morning.
I'm just being honest with you.
It's not an expo board.
What do you mean? This is the wrong thing?
You need the spray.
Oh, the spray. Well, I got so excited about what you're saying.
Is this okay? Yeah.
So
that's why
You bring up a really good point. I have a picture I want to show you. I'm not an artist.
Oh, we can tell.
I love it. Honesty is the best policy. So this is like
I'm just
what you're bringing up is it. I can relate to that because I remember that
I'm sorry
moment.
if I'm thinking out loud.
No, that's the point. That's the point. You're making me. When you're talking, I'm thinking. I'm learning. So think of see this. This fucking.
It's not working.
This is terrible. I feel like the world is closing in on me now.
Get the Windex off the marker.
This is what kind of culture is this?
The Windex is on the
This
marker.
is like the best. We can't make this up. Jay, you're good, but now we're Windex.
Oh boy, should I do more or did I just?
Just gotta.
No.
Antoine, what should I do? What's the next move? I feel like I'm in a move. I'm in a video game. What's the next
Right on
move?
the area, right.
I can write now?
Yeah.
You sure?
Antoine, the good thing is you have it on video.
Nope.
No?
Is it on video?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I hope so. Oh boy. Yeah.
Okay. See, how's it doing?
Nope, not good. So I'm gonna show you the diagram here. Okay, nope, not good either. Do we have another black marker? Yo, it's such a profound, like a great question. Here we go. Can I use purple?
Yeah.
All right, you ready?
Purple's the
Can you see
color.
this little diagram?
Yeah, this is epic. All right, let's go all the way to the right.
Blue's new.
that's
Blue's
right.
new.
Blue's new. This is fun, right? This is great.
All in that corner.
All right, you ready?
All right.
Wow.
Yeah, we got
Hey.
it.
Yes, this is great. All right, so
all it is. Watch.
That's it.
Now look, see this climb right here? Okay. There's something I came up with. I'm not the first. I mean, just whatever. It's codifying something. But believe, understand, and do. Before we give a crap about anything, things be open and interest. Once there is, well, we have to understand an axe is better at chopping down the tree than a wood chip or a wood pick, like a, whatever the hell that is, toothbrush. So we have to understand what works. Like you could want to chop down the tree, then you have to understand what works. And then once you understand what works, you got to do it. So keep this in the back of your mind. But believe, understand, and do. As I climbed over myself, and what I mean by that is, as I deconstructed who I was every day by believing, understanding, and doing, meaning reading, educating, right? The answer lies in listening to books, listening to other people, modeling other people's success that I want it to be, taking action, taking risks, doing businesses, constantly and perpetually over all of these years, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, every day, way more than 10,000 hours. Audiobooks, 7,000 hours since 2014. There was a point, because the motivation piece, like Les Brown, dude, I met him the other day. It was a dream come true.
That's why I'm asking that question.
Thank you. Les Brown, all of inspirational speakers were an integral part in the daily group, because until I had constructed enough of what I deemed to be an understanding of, when I walk down the street, don't be afraid to talk to a stranger, I don't believe, based on what I believe my understanding is of our intrapsychic alignment, biology, history, neuroscience, it's just studying. I don't believe I could be or let myself be afraid. It's like, so there's an understanding of myself, getting very traumatically hurt, an understanding of myself that's come over time, so that eventually I can't express what it was or how to get there or anything of that nature. But there was like a break at one point where I broke through the surface of myself. Like there was an overcoming of myself every day, the deconstruction, doing all of these things where eventually it just broke through. It's like I just less and less was I interested in that, and more was it was just there. It doesn't mean it doesn't come from other people. Antoinette, Antoine, Jenna, people on the team. I saw that, and there is really no answer to this question. I feel as though this answer is going to truly, at the end of the day, come from within yourself. It's like, whatever you feel as though is going to keep you moving, do it. At the same time, don't forget this, because I may not have a study I can pull through right here, but someday I will. The rest of my life, I'll invest in this. Is that this part, man? How could there be war if we really understood that there ain't really nothing different than us, than what we think there is? Like, and there came a real serious understanding of me and others through education, through not memorizing books, because then I'm just at the effect of some form of dogma. But provokingly and perpetually asking questions like, what works? And then compounding it. It's not about the amount of books someone reads. Right? I guess it's a commitment to perpetual development. So there was a point at some point, like, where I needed less of that. And there is no right or wrong in that. It just is. And I can't quite quantify it. But I hope that somewhat answers something. I think fundamentally, a clear grappling of human psychology, early child development, our biology and history, and those disciplines that you think are totally wasted at school, can pragmatically help you in your business and personal life, because your business is a reflection of your personal life. I see it came down your head. I mean, this is your stuff.
I know what happened.
Please, that's what this is.
So when you are pouring into yourself and you are changing your mindset and you're listening to good people with information, people with knowledge, people with understanding, and you're selective about what you're pouring into your mind, you are pouring in, and then breakthrough happens because now you're so full of it that inside of you it can only speak of what you've been pouring in. You know nothing else. Your mind had just changed. So the old way of thinking is no more. It's gone. You are succeeding. You've reached it, and something breaks through, and that's where it happened. So when you are filling yourself with education, with motivation, with your eyes are fixed on people who have gone ahead of you, have succeeded you, and are going to the places that you want to be, and you're learning from them, and you're listening to them, whether it's podcasts, following them on social media, listening to audiobooks, and then you come to an understanding that you believe in what you've been doing, something inside of you just breaks. You no longer feel weak. You no longer feel like you're the tail. You're now the head. You don't feel like you can't do it. You can do anything. Your mind changes. So you need to renew your thinking. So all the past stuff of failing and all those cold calls and the rejection, you don't feel that anymore. Yeah, you still don't want to make that phone call, but you say, so you know what it is. You know what? I'm going to get through this. Just do it. Something changes, and that's what you did. You kept pouring until this beautiful thing came out.
Oh, it's the tie. That's on all I heard.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, you actually just
Because
inspired the
it's
shit
not
out of me.
one thing. I'm hearing is you cannot be just reading books without everything. It takes everything. It takes, I watch great preachers because I want to be a preacher. So if I wanna be a preacher, I need to like watch how they do it, learn how they do it, speak eloquently, know your information. Yes, you need to study. Yes, you need all of it, but in a balance. So if you got 30 to 45 minutes, I always say, 5 minutes of motivation, 5 minutes, I pray. So it's 5 minutes of reading, 5 minutes of motivation, 5 minutes of a song that just can make me wake up and say, okay, I can do this today. Then my brain is ready to learn. I can't move out of my house until I do 5 minutes of, biblical reading, praying, meditating, and a song to wake me up, and then I get to the office and my brain's ready to learn. So whatever it's gonna take to get you up and out and to face your demons for the day, that's what you gotta do in the morning. It takes 15 minutes. It's a mindset. As soon as you hit that floor and you wake up, you have to say, this is gonna be a good day. You're determined right there, as soon as your feet hit the floor, whether it's gonna be a good day or a bad day. And you don't even know what the weather is. If you feel like you're hitting walls, then you really gotta get real with yourself and say, well, what's it gonna take to overcome this, and where's the knowledge and understanding gonna come from? And that's where I gotta go figure out who succeeded this, and I need to go talk to them, I need to go figure out how this, that's why you need mentors. And we're not supposed to do all this stuff by ourselves.
So let's
way by yourself.
Let's go with this for a second.
So that's where I said, that's it.
So
Does that make sense?
No, it does, because you're so in other words, you're under the BUD, you're understanding what Jay circled is an aggregate of where you need to be based on your inabilities at that time, right? So either it be morning, night, day, afternoon, evening.
It's yours.
In the end of the day, the aggregate of understanding, it's how you perceive it. Now, either be through podcasts versus book. At the end of the day, it's what you're going to use to help you inspire what's going on today.
Right.
So
And you're gonna grow.
You're gonna grow
grow
from it,
from that. You may grow out of that and grow into something bigger and more.
what's your name again?
Jim.
Jim. Let's use this as a micro metaphor, and then we're gonna wrap it up for everything we're talking about. The logos, the word, based on whatever preconceived word thought matrix or preconceived notion of reality, Kim goes through life. A value gives that in the through the word to Jay. Jay decides to be open and curious enough to listen. The ritual, what's worked, Kim's belief and understanding of her constant and perpetual doing or habituation. I'm listening intently, or I wouldn't be able to have this conversation next, correct? So I'm listening. So first, I'm listening to the word. And now, it's my duty to think and direct that back through the filter, which is the mind, based on everything, word, thought, idea, belief, perpetual and infinite results that came to habituate a belief system in the world, matrix of reality, based on what I already believe. So that's going to go through what I already believe. And now, Jim, right, before I talk, he was listening too. And filtering that through his preconceived reality. So now that I was about to say this, and then he came in, more stimulus. And I need to make a decision, digress, we're not taught that, to listen, filter through my understanding, and then use the word, like I'm doing now, to bring it back, so all parties. Life is energy, right? Energy is never gone, it's just in flux, it's consistent and perpetual disorder. The order found in that is our ability to listen, to think and then to re-share a new perspective. And if we're all okay with each other's truth, we might all actually grow infinitely from a conversation or conversations. So like this conversation is a micro metaphorical symbol of this fucking crazy world. Culture matters. Does that make sense? It's like awkward.
Makes sense, guys? Yeah.
I mean, this is great. This is a great meeting. Whatever I took in the bathroom, I'm going to keep. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you for any questions. I feel like we've been going a while.
Yeah, I asked. It's me.
Yo, come back next week. Our vision is to read, write, and speak every single day. That's the mission.
No,
Because we want to live in a world where everyone does that. What's your question? What are you saying?
No. And rightfully so. It's just, we have a hierarchy of where we want and what we need. I just want to make sure when I'm channeling these communications in my own thought process as we go from Tuesday to Friday, how I manipulate that same scale that we get your asking of whatever works, how it works, whatever it is, to make sure I understand the process so I can translate that information to whom I'm working with or how I'm working with for myself.
Okay, you got me. I believe I have
Right.
a quantifiable piece of the wisdom I want to share with you, so you could maybe correct me if I'm wrong. Let's just think of it. If believing is the spark to the car to start driving, like if you need a jump start, believing, like the motivation, right? Whatever the hell is the minimum amount of spark I need to get going, I'm going to use so that I can invest the maximum amount of time in thinking the most difficult things as possible. So you got 45 minutes 45 minutes in the morning. If the minimum amount of time you need a motivation is 3 minutes on the phone call with Jay, the minimum. Well, believing more ain't gonna really help you run through a fucking wall. But understanding how to get through the wall, like deconstruct it. You feel me? So motivation, do the bare minimum of whatever you need to get motivated. I would invest the rest of the time in the max amount of thought conductivity from learning how to develop, use tools to get. Does that make sense?
No.
And
that's where you come from the understanding. And keep in mind,
use the minimum.
And keep in mind, these are my self issues, right? When you have a bunch of kids, you guys can take to the bus stop, and you don't have to be at work, and you have to. There's so much going on as a father,
It's called work-life balance.
No, right, but yeah.
But you're asking how much motivation where should you spend your time? Is that correct?
No, not time more or less. It's just to make sure that you individually are giving 100% energy to whomever you're working with, and making sure you're educating yourself, like you said, you're reading, you're writing, and you're empowering for motivational speakers to help gather your thoughts when times are not where you would like it to be.
I think the understanding of self and others is going to be the vaccine to non-motivation eventually. And I don't know when mine was. I don't know when anyone's is. And it would be difficult to quantify that.
Right. And that's
So the minimum amount of time, I would think, of you needing to wake up and be like energized, and the max amount of definitely a selfish.
If there is something that happens, so I stopped doing that. Where it's just it's a mind shift that you need in the morning, and you need to know that I get up this morning and I get to do this again. You're not there, but you got to get there. But in order to get there, you got to feed yourself information and knowledge so that you can know that you know what you know inside of you, that you are confident in what you're doing, you believe in yourself.
And that's where that's what I say. That's where the podcast.
You listen to that podcast until you start believing in yourself, but you have to be your number one believer before anybody else is going to believe in you.
Right,
So,
and that's where I was coming from with it.
Yeah, if I could
So when
if I
does
could
that?
share a little bit.
Yeah.
So when I,
I know.
so when I started, right, like, yeah, you could press that off, check.